Tonight on Connecticut's news station, New Haven is cleaning up after a building under construction partially collapses. We'll have the latest on the investigation.
The president signs the debt ceiling bill avoiding a government shutdown. I'm Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. I'll have those details coming up.
And details tonight as Connecticut's governor is expected to sign the biggest piece of gun reform since the laws passed after Sandy Hook.
Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We begin tonight with 8 construction workers recovering after the building they were working in partially collapsed. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Carmen Chow. Those workers were injured yesterday while they were spreading concrete. The good news is 4 of them are now out of the hospital tonight. The collapse happened at around 12:30 yesterday afternoon and it was caused by wet concrete pooling in one area. 6 workers were pulled out of the building and 3 of them were partially buried under the rubble. They were lifted by firefighters after falling several floors into wet concrete. Fox 61's Jake Garcia joins us live in New Haven tonight with the latest on the building collapse. Jake?
Well, Carmen, the remaining 4 construction workers that were injured remain hospitalized tonight. 3 of them listed in fair condition and 1 in serious condition at Yale New Haven Hospital. Tonight, we're hearing audio of the response by first responders.
Respond to 188 Lafayette Street for the partial collapse.
Just after 12:30 Friday afternoon, a 911 call was made by someone walking by reporting a loud noise and a partial collapse. Construction workers were pouring concrete when it pooled, officials believe, causing the collapse. Audio from the responders' radio describes the scene when they arrived.
It's a full collapse. They got multiple people buried down there. We're going to have to come around from the Lafayette side to gain access. But we got some stability issues here. We got a lot of rebar down.
First responders having to request tools to get to those who were trapped.
You're going to need to bring some metal cutting saws down there, shovels. You got a lot of rebar, wet concrete around multiple people. I don't have a firm count yet.
First responders began to pull the injured and those partially buried in the wet concrete to safety.
So far I have the 1 that's buried and possibly 4 more on that lower level. Got 1 more person with a leg injury.
The CEO of RMS Companies, who is developing the construction site, released a statement to Fox 61 praising first responders and saying in part, quote, "We will continue to work with our safety team and all of the appropriate government agencies to fully investigate the incident." After over an hour of hard work, the news finally came.
The rescue is completed. They're on the ground and they'll be loading up in the ambulance momentarily.
And OSHA is leading that investigation as it continues on. A stop work order has been issued here at the construction site as the investigation continues, which could take several more days. We're live in New Haven. Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thanks, Jake. For more of our coverage on the New Haven building collapse, head to fox61.com or download the free Fox 61 News app. That's where you can find a complete timeline of what happened along with updates on the investigation. New at 10, an update in Torrington where a woman is now dead after colliding with the vehicle while riding her bike. Torrington police say 47-year-old Sean Kiefer was killed in the crash, which happened at around 9 yesterday morning. Investigators say the car and bike were both heading south on Winstead Road. The crash happened near the intersection with Meshuggah Road. The driver of the car remained on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. Many of us waking up to cooler weather today after last night's thunderstorm. Let's check in with meteorologist Ryan Breton for a first look at the forecast. Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Carmen. Hi, everybody. A big change in the weather today, and even compared to 10 o'clock last night, we're about 15 to 20 degrees colder right now. It's been mostly dry, though, in Connecticut, but pretty wet in parts of Maine, New Hampshire, and eastern Massachusetts. And these showers tomorrow will try to get close to us, but again, we should stay mainly dry. here in the Connecticut area. Right now, though, it is fairly dry out there, and over the next 12 hours, temperatures will be dropping down to the 40s. So a cool night ahead tonight. By morning, we'll be down to 48 in Hartford and New Haven, 43 in Norwich, and 46 degrees in Putnam. There will probably be some sun for a little while early tomorrow morning, but then the clouds will thicken up and it will be gray and cool for the afternoon, with temperatures only in the 50s to around 60 and not getting much higher than about 55 or so in Willimantic tomorrow afternoon. This is where there may be a couple of showers tomorrow. We'll time that out hour by hour and take a look at the cool forecast for this upcoming week. And I see you in just a little while. Carmen?
Thanks, Ryan. New at 10, the U.S. officially avoids a historic default and a global economic crisis. President Joe Biden signed a bill into law today, raising the debt ceiling before Monday's deadline. Meanwhile, the U.S. Defense Secretary is criticizing China for refusing talks with our country's military. Here's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
No one got everything they wanted, but the American people got what they needed.
President Biden making his first primetime Oval Office address to the nation after weeks of tense negotiations on Capitol Hill, taking a victory lap following the bipartisan passage of a debt ceiling bill by Congress to avoid an economic meltdown.
I know bipartisanship is hard, and unity is hard, but we can never stop trying. Because in moments like this one, the ones we just faced, where the American economy and the world economy is at risk of collapsing, there's no other way.
Biden saying his compromise with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy shows that Republicans and Democrats can work together. The bill suspends the debt limit until January of 2025 and caps spending. Despite the bipartisan agreement, some progressive Democrats and conservative Republicans are expressing concerns.
I did not like the fact that it had a date certain it would end and not a dollar amount on our debt ceiling raise.
This is a bill that weakens us in the fight against climate change. It takes food away from hungry people. It makes students who are struggling on student loan debt locked in harder on making their payments.
Meanwhile, overseas, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin with a strong message to Beijing while speaking at a defense conference in Singapore.
We do not seek conflict or confrontation, but we will not flinch in the face of bullying or coercion.
China has been taking a more aggressive stance toward the United States recently as the Biden administration tries to keep lines of communication with Beijing open. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
New at 10 at the Capitol, Governor Ned Lamont is preparing to sign Connecticut's largest gun reforms into law since measures were passed soon after the Sandy Hook school shooting in Newtown. The newest reforms would ban open carrying of guns. It would also ban anyone from buying more than 3 guns within 30 days, with some exceptions, including instructors. The measures would also expand Connecticut's assault weapons ban and add some domestic violence crimes to the list of disqualifications for owning a gun. Also heading to the governor's desk, legislation that aims to stop the rising number of wrong-way crashes on Connecticut's roads. That bill requires the CTDOT to install wrong-way detection systems on at least 120 high-risk highway ramps across the state. A proposed pilot program would also involve those ramps where alerts about a wrong-way driver will appear on electronic highway message boards. The bill would also allow UConn to test the use of directional rumble strips. New details at 10 as 8 people are without homes tonight after an apartment fire in Hartford. It happened in the city's Upper Albany neighborhood just after 3:30 this morning. When firefighters got there, they put out heavy flames on the building's first floor. People inside were able to evacuate to the roof where firefighters rescued them. There were no reports of any injuries.
We had a occupied building partially under construction. It's 3-story brick here with heavy fire in the first floor in the commercial space. The fire was knocked down fairly quickly, but we had people that were self-evacuated to a roof of this smaller building next door.
The Red Cross is helping out the 6 adults and 2 children displaced. The city's fire marshal is investigating the cause of the fire.